everyone. This is Elliott Serrano and Jose Melendez coming to you from Dreamland Comics in Schaumburg, Illinois. Thank you for joining us yet again for another series of conversations here on the Comic Culture Warrior YouTube channel. And again, lots of conversation from our last series of segments. Got a lot of advice on balancing a career as a critic and a writer from our viewers, so we might get into that a little bit later. But what I wanted to do before we got into anything else was tackle the big title that came out just this past week, which was Dark Avengers. And boy, this one, when I read it, set off a lot of different emotions in me. But we're going to make this, we'll try to squeeze what we can into this first segment. But we kind of have two things we want to tackle. First,
it's probably going to take up two segments.
Two segments here. I want to do a review of the book itself and how Dark Avengers relates to some other things that we've talked about Bendis' books. But first, let's talk about Dark Avengers. I read the book. I have my opinion. I'll let you go first. But I know you have pointed out that there have been a lot of interesting feedback on this. What did you think of the book? As opposed to what everybody else on the internet thinks about the book.
I don't get it. I don't get what people like about it. It's nothing new at all. I don't know. Maybe if I was like 12, I would be loving the shit out of this book. But I don't know, man. It's so, and again, I don't want to sound like a fucking snob, but to me, this is so pedestrian. It's so lowest common denominator. It's like, what have, well, all right, I was going to say, what happened in this book that I haven't seen before.
Right.
But something does happen in this book, which we will talk about later, that kind of has been seen before.
We've seen a lot of it, yeah.
But, anyway.
Just so you know, we're going to deal with spoilers here, so if you haven't read the book yet, turn this sucker off, come back later. But we are telling you now, there's no way we can discuss this book without getting into spoiler territory. All right, go on.
Oh, so I guess the book deals with the Dark Avengers on their first mission.
Right.
Okay.
Which, again, mirrors Mighty Avengers #1. Yeah.
So, some of my biggest problems, well, again, nothing really happened. Well, stuff happened. I'm just really frustrated at this point. I mean, I can't even give a good review of this book because this book disgusts me in so many fucking ways. As a human being, first of all, and as a comic reader. So they go out, Doctor Doom. Okay, first of all, wasn't Morgana Le Fay in the Marvel Universe always known as Morgan Le Fay?
Something like, yeah.
Wasn't that how it was in the Marvel Universe? Because they have her in the DC. Obviously, it's King Arthur's. But I always thought that whenever they talked about her, her name was Morgan Le Fay in the Marvel comics. But for some reason, Bendis is using Morgana Le Fay.
Right.
Now that's not the big problem I have with this. That's just very minor nuisance.
If you didn't read New Avengers, or Newer Mighty Avengers, where we saw... No, it's Mighty Avengers, where we saw Doom's...
it's Mighty Avengers, yeah.
Relationship with Le Fay, you would have no idea what's going on here.
Right.
You'd be like, what? Why is all of a sudden she's coming and she wants to just destroy this dude?
Yeah, and she shows up and she destroys Doom.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And
which I've been waiting to see for a long time.
Yeah.
But no.
And so since Doctor Doom is part of the Illuminati, one of Osborn's dudes is there with him. He's like, hey, you guys need to get your asses over here because Doom just got taken down.
Right.
And then Osborn's like, all right, Dark Avengers, let's suit up and let's go do this. And then there's a whole page of gibberish dialogue, which it's better than reading Bendis' real dialogue. So I didn't mind that so much. So yeah, and it's just I don't know. I'm sick of talking about it already. Just, you can.
Well, okay. You obviously didn't care for it, but I read it. Okay, I read it, and I'll say that this book elicited a couple different emotions for me. First, let's go over the visceral. I thought that Deodato's artwork actually improved in this issue over issue 1. And there were some interesting little, bits. I mean, again...
How much mileage do you think they're going to get out of this fucking panel here?
Yeah, I know. They're showing the Avengers team from their debut over and over again. Tommy Lee Jones. I mean, Norman Osborn looks even more like Tommy Lee Jones than ever. But and then there's this cool splash page. This cool page with the new Avengers Quinjet, or the Dark Avengers Quinjet, which I was going, wow, this would make a kind of a cool toy. But now that's the visceral part. The other part after that is, like you were saying, if I were 12 years old and I was reading this book, I would think, oh, this book kicks ass. There's all this shit getting blowed up real good, and I'd really enjoy it. But in the very end, when I get to the end of the book and the cliffhanger at the end, I was asking myself, why should I care? These are all basically villains fighting villains. And with the exception of Sentry, who right now I care very little about because he's a basket case and doesn't really contribute anything.
No, he doesn't.
Why should I care if Morgana or Morgan Le Fay destroys Osborn in the Dark Avengers? In fact,
I was kind of hoping that she would, just so I don't have to read another issue of Dark Avengers.
Right. So I'm like, why should I care about what these characters go through? And you're saying it's a lot of the same. This is Warren Ellis's Thunderbolts, but without any sympathetic characters in it. Is basically it.
And if you didn't read the whole Le Fay Doom storyline in Mighty Avengers, what do you care about what's going on?
Right. Why would you care? It's just a bunch of fighting and shit getting blowed up and all that kind of stuff. And then, of course, the thing that irks us the most, we'll talk about it in our next segment, is when it comes down to it, these heroes don't act like heroes, because what happens here, everyone's been talking about it on the internet, well, the Sentry rips Morgan Le Fay's head off. Yes, she's a villain. Yes, in the end, it ends up being inconsequential because she's a time traveler, and that stopped her temporarily by some strange laws of time travel.
Yeah, I don't know how time travel works in Marvel.
Yeah, I don't know how. But it just seemed really... Well, you say the word is pedestrian, to me, especially reading and going back and reviewing a lot of the stuff that I've been reading in the that I've went over in the Avengers books, it's become incredibly cliched. Why is it cliched? We'll talk about that in the next segment. We hope you join us.